cards for you today. I picked some cards that are, let's say, very Hearthstone inspired. These are some of the weirdest, like, funky mechanics that we've ever seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! And your goal today is to figure out if these cards ever saw, like, actual play. None of these cards, I'm pretty sure none of these cards were banned or anything, but these cards are very funky, and I want you to try to figure out if you thought these cards were actually funky enough that they're still good to see play. I imagine Hearthstone has plenty of cards like this, wouldn't you say?
I would say that Hearthstone does print cards that are unplayable but have really fun.
Well, speaking of which, let's start with your first card here.
Hold on, so these cards, can you, like, blanket say that all of these cards are objectively just not good?
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
That guy is the parasite through his mouth skin, or like, I don't even know what that. Gee.
Cool art, huh?
Jesus, I can tell you, Hearthstone doesn't really print cards like this. Actually, do they? I don't think so. Parasite.
You have to remember, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was also like a horror anime initially. It's like a horror/game anime. So this is kind of like, this is actually the original art of this card. I thought this would be more fun to show you than the censored version.
We filmed this year, right? We filmed this year? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I told you I did the Yu-Gi-Oh! Video of, like, going through the first season and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I do realize how dark this show is supposed to be, even though it's very, very interesting. Okay. Parasite. Lift this card face up in your opponent's deck and shuffle it. When your opponent draws this card, it is special summon from their side of the field and set defensive field. And it inflicts 1,000 damage to them. Then, while this card is face up on the battlefield, all monsters your opponent controls become insect type monsters.
I'll give you a little bit of help. This card's very old, so think of it in the context of very old, you know, like kind of what you experienced in like.
I'm going to imagine the stat line doesn't really matter here, but I will just say it's a 500 attack. It's actually extremely interesting. Okay, so a couple mechanic thing here. When this card is drawn, do they get another draw after, or does this take the draw?
It takes the draw.
Okay, so that is actually kind of an important thing. Special summon, because of a special summon, they can use it to sacrifice to get better monsters, I'm assuming as well. That would make sense.
Correct. Yes.
1,000. The question often is going to come down to, is this actually better than... This is you playing this card to stop your opponent from potentially drawing another card in their deck to summon this parasite. That worth playing. I'm trying to think of Hearthstone's ever. Hearthstone has effects that are like, well, Voxy. Have you seen Voxy's card before?
I didn't, like, you mean like she has an actual card?
She does not have an actual card, but if you've heard Voxy laugh, she sounds like what this card is. I'll show you. This is the card. You can read that, I'll make you laugh. I'm sure you heard the laugh.
Oh, do I need to hear the sound effect?
You can absolutely need to hear it, because she sounds just like, hold on. She has this kind of laugh.
Oh my god! That's so fucked up.
So, it's actually, it goes deeper than that. The community manager had sent her a box, I think, with like this type of hat. Because it was stopped doing a lot of it. Very funny. So
Get it stayed down.
Oh no, I'm just saying old Voxy.
Oh, Lord. I thought you were saying old.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Yeah.
So, this is the same kind of effect, but because it doesn't actually summon for you, you just take up the draw. This card did not see a ton of play unless you were going for some insane strategy for the most part. There is another card that was played though. It's called, it's some kind of albatross, and what it does is when it dies, it shuffles 2 1/1 to just do nothing birds in your opponent's deck. That card did see play, because denying the draw, especially in like a high laner deck where you shuffle duplicates in, does actually matter. It was also like a pretty good statted minion. It was 3 mana 4/3. And to deny your opponent potentially a draw is not like a pretty good upside for what it was. So it was played. That card was played because of the stat, though. I don't know if you really want to play this, especially because you gave your opponent the summon. Or I guess the fodder summon, something I should say.
Sure. That's if you're playing tribute monsters.
I mean, if you said this is an older card, I feel like as time has gone on, this has gotten worse and worse. It's tough to imagine.
This is from the first year of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah. I mean, I can see it. I just don't. I think the fact that you have to put this in, you then play it, and then your hope that your opponent also draws it just seems like it's too much of a downside for you to actually run it. I don't think I'd run it, so I'm gonna say it for that. I don't think you can play this.
What if I show you this card?
Insect barrier. Insect monsters your opponent controls and not declared attack. Okay. So for that reason, you're saying because every monster in your opponent controls is now insect type, well, this is on the board, I guess. But again, they would just sacrifice it. I'm assuming, especially if it's like older Yu-Gi-Oh. I see now you're fucking. Oh my god, already. So now I gotta ask myself, like, are they actually playing special summons and sacrifice this? That they can't sacrifice this, that they just have monsters that don't do for the rest of the game. But I mean, in older Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm assuming most decks would want to special summon something at some point by sacrifice. So I'm gonna go with still this wasn't played. Maybe slightly different land. Yes, yeah, this card's bad. You're right.
So this is something that this is like a playground card. This is something that you'd always try to pull off like on your friends during lunchtime, and was never competitively viable. There's another card I didn't show you. I'll show you this really quick. This is the I guess final piece of the combo if you really want to see it.
Your opponent selects one insect type monster from their deck. After shuffling the deck, place that card on top. Okay.
Yeah, so basically, this would make it so that it forces Parasite to the top. For context, during older Yu-Gi-Oh, there was not many good insect monsters that were really worth playing. There was like a few, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, most of the good stuff decks weren't playing any insects whatsoever. And so it was pretty likely that if you parasited them, then played Jade Insect Whistle, you could force it to the top, and then they would draw it, you would summon, and then Insect Barrier them, and that's way too many steps to go through for no payoff, because, oh no, they can't attack. Anyway, I'm gonna do everything else, right? It was just like the dream combo as a kid that you tried to pull off. There was a much easier way to do this anyway. This is like just like the funny way because it shuffles the thing into the deck. But I knew Hearthstone had these like sort of effects that put stuff in the opponent's deck, so I thought it'd be funny to show you one of ours because it's actually one of those cards.
Yeah, makes sense. I feel like if I don't know, I'm trying to think if like if it would ever be playable. Maybe if you just couldn't get the sacrifice from it, I think it might be good enough.
Well, even if you couldn't, you could just on the next turn put it to attack position and just crash it into one of your opponent's monsters.
Yeah, I guess it just
dies. So like it's like there's so many downsides to it that it's just like what? Okay, next card.
Let's draw something. This card is called Question. Alright. Activate this card. Your opponent cannot check cards in the graveyard. Your opponent calls the name of the first monster found at the bottom of your graveyard. He/she calls it right. Monsters will play. Will it just vanish? If he/she calls it wrong, the monster special summons your side. Why would you ever play this? Ever? I get okay. So sorry. So your opponent never lets you want to play this. You want to torture your opponent. What the fuck? Okay, the first sentence is crazy. Check cards.
So fun fact: if you play this card in any of the games, for instance, the game will actually like not let you look into the graveyard. It will like it's coded into the game to prevent you from accessing it. It's very funny that they have to. Yeah. Even on like the third-party clients, like same thing. They coded it that like you physically cannot look at it.
I mean that's pretty sick though.
Yeah, it's cool. You can't cheat. No.
That is an interesting idea. That in this game, that line of text is not going to really stop you from most kind of annoying. It's a little bit of your graveyard. I don't know how relevant that is. The second effect is very interesting. You would have to play this game so. Your opponent can't look at your graveyard either, which means they're just calling out a monster. If they're paying track, this card is basically useless for you. It doesn't really do anything unless like they really need to know what's in their graveyard. If they get it wrong, you just get a monster, which is kind of sick. So you're really banking on the fact of how much your opponent is keeping track of the game. It's really interesting. In terms of I'm trying to think of like a Hearthstone card that's like this. I don't really think there is. I'm really trying to think. I don't really get punished for this. There are cards that are like, you can summon a copy of it using your opponent's deck, or something along those lines, but nothing like 50-50, your opponent just pulls a card that died before. Okay, this card actually has potential too. This is such a silly card.
We have our own share of silly cards.
I'm just trying to... Your opponent trying to remember what's in the fucking graveyard is so stupid. If this is played very early, it's very bad. I think this is bad too. I think the majority of it. This is like a card, I think, like, as the game progresses, it's really fun eventually. There's just a lot of information that you have to probably remember. And also, like, it's like you're studying for an exam that you didn't know was actually happening. Because at some point, if someone plays this, they're like, oh fuck, I showed for fucking attention to what's going on. I think it's bad. I think it's bad.
Final answer?
Final answer, yeah.
Alright, let's talk about question. So, question is actually
Oh,
a
shit.
contentious card because of the first line of text about your opponent cannot check cards in your graveyard. For the longest time, you were not allowed to rearrange the order of your graveyard because of this card's existence. Because in other games, you're allowed to, like, rearrange your graveyard, you know, you're kind of organizing to, like, look for certain things or check for different mechanics. Most other games don't really have this sort of, like, mechanic that this card essentially enables, right? So for the longest time, up until, like, relatively recently in Yu-Gi-Oh's history, you weren't really able to, like, manipulate the cards in the graveyard because it would fuck with the order that if someone were to be playing Question, you could, like, hypothetically call a judge on someone because, like, the order got mixed up, and then all of a sudden now Question, like, won't be able to properly resolve, or the order was changed, or whatever. Let's be honest, that never fucking happened, and eventually they came to their senses and, like, changed the rules that you could rearrange the cards in your graveyard because no one's ever fucking played this card. Because you're right, this card's bad. And, I don't want to say this card never saw play. Monster Reborn is a card you're very familiar with.
It's always those guys. I need a better strategy against them
so good
than just
there were
winging
a
it.
non-zero number of people who tried to use this as the replacement just because there weren't many other options. I'm not going to say it was good, but, you know, it's a substitute for Monster Reborn, I guess, right? But it was really bad. Yeah, this card tasted like
Replacement is not the word I would use.
I would not either, especially because, yeah, it's that comparing that to Monster Reborn at the slightest is awful. Absolutely. Speaking of mini cards, though, you should know this one.
I do know this one. I remember, like, I remember it being a Yugi deck. I just can't remember.
It is a Yugi card, you are correct. No points for that, you are correct.
Magical Hats. During your opponent's battle phase, choose 2 non-monster cards from your deck and 1 monster card you control. Shuffle those 3 cards and set them on the field in defense. The 2 cards chosen from your deck are treated as normal monsters and are destroyed at the end of the battle.
Big flavor loss on this card, considering you only pick 2 other cards to go with your 1, and there's 4 hats.
Maybe in testing they did 4 when they were like this.
Testing, you're funny.
You don't think
I missed.
Choose 2 non-monster cards from your deck and 1 monster you control. No monster cards from your deck. Shuffle those 3 cards and set them on the field. That's 2 cards for 3 decks. Monsters with 0 attacking your deck.
So basically you're getting 2 spell or traps from your deck, and they're like toys. They're like obfuscating one of your monsters, so that if your opponent's trying to attack, like, that one monster, now you have 3 things, and they don't know which one is the thing instead of 1.
I'm assuming, I don't know, I don't think the card says that they're face upside down, right? You can't see what they actually
Yeah, everything's face down. Okay.
And also, if they're flipped, they don't do, like, the spell activation at all, right? It's not like they're 0/0 monsters with the spell, it's just a 0/0 monster for the sake of it.
Well, funny you should ask, because if the spell or trap has an effect that says, if this card is destroyed, that effect filtrates.
See, that matters, because then you can choose 2 cards in your deck that actually want them. Which means you're kind of... It's also just, like, it's just a fine card, right? It just stops potentially from your opponent dealing damage. You need to have a monster on your board, right? I'm assuming for this
You do need a monster, correct?
That's really pretty good.
Would you like me to show you a card as a possible thing you'd want to grab? Just, you know, just to help give you some full context? Sure, I can help you out.
I'm trying to think of the game, like, I don't think I used it once, so I don't know how much that actually translates to good. Like, I did have it in hand, but I just never put me in a circumstance where I need. If you have 2 spell cards that you want to be destroyed, that means most of the time you're getting a benefit. Minus 1 card to draw a card from your deck that will have it. Minus 1 card to draw a card from your deck that will have an effect. Your 1 card play this card to your town. Players can roll summon most of your monsters for 1 less trip unit. When this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you get special summon 1 each into your monster from your hand deck.
Would you like to see what that summons? That also might help you.
This is the longest trail of fate I've ever seen in my life.
Maybe. We might be setting a record here, okay? Here you go. I'm going to show you probably what the premier target would be in this interaction.
What? That's a lot of time. Sorry, what is this? Hold on.
For all intents and purposes, this is a 3,000 attack point monster. So just, you wouldn't have to read the text, I'll save you. It does have text that's kind of relevant, but for the most part, it summons a 3,000 attack guy, so just think of it that way.
Well, I mean, the first line of text seems pretty relevant. Your opponent cannot activate any spell/trap cards until the end of the damage step.
That is relevant.
That is relevant.
That's the only relevant part. The rest is very and will probably never happen.
I mean, so if we're falling down the rabbit hole here,
You're following the trail of bait.
one trap card to potentially bait your opponent into attacking, not killing your monster on board, or they're attacking a spell card that you're happy to get destroyed to summon a 3,000 attack monster from your deck. You drew 2 cards for 1 card and your monster on board is done. That sounds pretty good.
Keep in mind, the other cards are destroyed at the end of the battle phase, no matter what. So,
I thought it was just the spell cards. My bad.
oh, no. Like, so, both, regardless of if your opponent attacks into, let's say, the face down tier town, even if they didn't attack, at the end of the battle phase, they'll still get destroyed.
Oh,
so no matter what, they're triggered. Correct.
So you get 2 tier count or something. So then they're like,
now you're cooking. Now you're cooking.
Is this bait? Like, this is kind of... That's right. We talked about card draw being so good. That's drawing 4 cards for 1. And then drawing additional cards post construction of those. Is he gonna actually get I think that sounds really good in my head.
Okay.
I'm trying to get like a card set that's anything like. Carson has cards that are like the mechanical recruit, which is basically let's just say death level. It's basically 4 minions. That card, depending on how expensive the card is or how much it does, is playable. We used to have cards that are like Master O cards, which is 9 mana 5, and summon different minions for different attack moves. And that card was pretty crazy. But it was 9 mana, and I think it was only played through. I think this is gonna go. I think this is pretty happy, especially in older. When did this card come? That's really good, right?
Very old actually. It was the first year. Yes, but for the context of this could be even if it was playable even later on. That still counts.
Okay. I think in the context of what I understand.
Final answer.
Why are you long with yes? Fucking close.
You're correct. You are correct. The Trail of Fate did not lead you astray. This card is, I will say, it's never been in the forefront of any Tier 1 deck. But I will say that this card has been in the category of playable, which we're kind of going by that in terms of scoring, like playable versus unplayable. This was more of a later iteration of the combo that I showed you with Tier Town Ancient Tier Gadgetron Dragon.
Alright, I won't fuck up this time.
With, like,
this is it.
Ladies, you might remember those, My Valentine play that's in the anime.
I know it's usually bad
Harvey
omen to say stuff like that, but...
swath of support in like 2014, I want to say, and they had a similar card to Gear Town that said, the turn this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to add like 3 Harvey cards to your hand. So you get to go +3 off of that going, which is crazy. Like, it's absolutely nuts. And there have been a few other decks that have happened to have been able to take advantage of magical hats as well. The biggest issue with this card, though, is that it has to be during the opponent's battle phase, which is really slow. And you have to also control a monster, and you have to play these, like, kind of bad cards in the deck in close if you want to, like, facilitate it, because if you draw Gadgetron Dragon and don't have, like, the combo, you're never, like, summoning Gadgetron Dragon, right? So, the card does come with some downsides, but for slower Yu-Gi-Oh! The Town Gadgetron combo I showed you, that actually is something you could do in, like, Edison format, for instance. So the format's slow enough that you can take advantage of it. Same thing with the Harvey Lady strategy. During that time, you feel it's a lot slower, that you could actually do some crazy shit with this card. So, again, not like a Tier 1 meta-defining strategy, but something that is, like, really cool. And because it's, like, an anime card, too, a lot of people, like, just have fun. So, I will say this is in the playable category. Not particularly good, but it's flashy. Like, when you do it, everyone's kind of like, what the fuck just happened?
It's a rabbit hole, man.
It is.
A lot of chaining into something great.
Speaking of rabbit hole, let's see if we can keep going down into this one.
Convulsion of Nature, as long as this card remains face up on the field, both players must turn their respective decks upside down to see the current draw. I feel like Stevie showed me this at some point.
Oh, did he? Okay.
I gotta remember if I can actually think of this card's campaign. Too long.
It's continuous, so it does stay active.
Right. Okay. As long as this card remains turn the respective decks upside down. So, just to remind me, so it's like the bottom card of your deck is face up, so you know what you're drawing.
Correct. Yes, and that's for both players, so you know what your opponent is drawing as well.
That's a cool effect. That's really cool. Which Hearthstone has an effect like that? Hearthstone has effects that are like dredge to see what's at the bottom of your deck. Now, there are a couple cards that allow you to do that for your opponent, but for the most part, it's never just like, this is what's at the bottom of your deck here. There's a cool card in Hearthstone that allows you to put a card at the bottom of your opponent's deck every single turn as a hero power, but that card's like not playable. So why would you want to just go through the lines here? Knowing your next draw is very important. Knowing your opponent's next draw is also very good. That is a symmetrical effect, so let's just cancel that out. It has to be a card that you want to use.
No, it doesn't.
At the bottom of your deck. I don't know how much that.
Well,
I'd argue just the process of changing the game.
I'm trying to think of like a card that
even if it affects both players. Especially if, you know,
Is there a card that's like, if top card of your deck is something like this, and then you always know what the top card of your deck is, so you always play for that.
Very interesting you should ask that, Ray. There is an entire archetype where that is the main mechanic. Would you like to see one of those cards?
Sure. For the record, there's a card in Hearthstone that's called Guess the Weight, and it's that kind of concept of drawing you 2 cards rather than 1. And that was playable at some point.
Alright, I'll show you this guy.
Spiral Super Agent. Cards in your hand, you can declare 1 card type monster, spell, or trap. Reveal the top card of your opponent's deck, and if you summon this card, it's a card of that type. Oh! If this card is special summoned by the effect of the Spiral card, you can target 1 spell trap your opponent controls and destroy it. You can only effect the Spiral Super Agent against the opponent card. So, yeah, that's pretty good.
So I will say, every Spiral card has that line of text where it says, your opponent, like you reveal the top card of your opponent's deck.
God, why is that attack so slow?
And then something happens and you call it right. That's usually very good.
Okay, so that means this card is playable in context of knowing the Spiral card. The thing is, part of the Spiral card deck. There one type of monster. So it's ultra your opponent's deck. Special summon this. Well, this special summoning allows you to destroy something your opponent controls, and then have this on the board to use your normal summon.
Shit.
Correct. You're -1 card, but then you're probably getting 4 headphones without some of your power cards. Keep that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I guess know that, like, the knowledge you have of what your opponent does draw is very nice. If you told me before that knowing your opponent's game is great, but again, if it's a symmetrical effect, how much does that matter?
I'm gonna help you out. I'll give you another card.
Archfiend's Oath. Once per turn, you pay 500 life points to declare 1 card name. Excavate the top card of your deck. Secure the favorite card, add it to your hand. Excavate, I mean, what, like draw? See what it is?
Yeah, so Excavate means to, like, you kind of, like, look at the top card, and then, like, after that, whatever it says to do.
You have a draw engine, and you have a way to special summon monsters. Again, how much bait is this? Like, is this...
I don't know, how much bait is it? I don't know! I don't know!
Is that really an archetype? Just special summon monsters? Like, what are these Spiral cards released?
So, Convulsion of Nature, for context, was released in, like, 2003. The Spiral cards were released in 2016? 2017.
So there's just a huge gap where this card existed, and it's like, God, if only I can remember what Stevie said to you. What did he say?
I will help you out. Archfiend's Oath was released around the same time as Convulsion. You can just tell by the way these cards look. The other two look very good.
Is this card errated by chance or not? Oath card?
Convulsion?
No, the Oath card. The Archfiend's Oath.
Archfiend's Oath errata. Good question. Let me...
Because it says once per turn. I don't think they use that line of text very early on in this game, as far as I know.
Don't think it received a functional errata. They errated it to, like, modify the text to make it simpler. It's not, the effect did not change. It still functions this exact way that I'm showing.
Okay, I'm gonna go with it was good. I'll believe that. I'll believe in the fact that Archfiend's Oath was good enough to see play, especially after, like, Pot of Greed was nerfed. I think
we're talking about Convulsion. I don't care about Archfiend's Oath.
Right. But I'm thinking like you're not running Convulsion on its own. There's no fucking way. That's trolling. So in the context of like you showed me in the potential combos and what it allows you to do, the card is probably seen play at some point. Good as
But
a
like, yeah,
question.
typically
And
when you're
also, like, I
changing the
think if
way
I
the
got to see
game
my
is
opponent's card
played,
and I got to see mine, I don't get changed.
you want it
Way
to
Hearthstone
do
plays. So if I might
something
play cards
to
that I don't think
benefit
I
you in
change
some
that.
way.
I've talked about like how knowing your opponent's hand doesn't really change a lot. I think it's fine in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it's fine. Not great, but playable. And I think that's the context. That's what the line is, right? Playable, not playable.
Playable or not?
I'll go playable.
All right, let's talk about Convulsion. So, this was a trail of breadcrumbs that did lead you into the bear trap, because this card fucking sucks. I will say, one exception to that rule is with Archfiend's Oath specifically, which is why I wanted to show it to you. There is a deck that was literally a first turn kill deck that you can play with Convulsion and Archfiend's Oath. That is basically the only time this card has ever seen play whatsoever. Essentially, you had Convulsion up, you had Archfiend's Oath, you can pay 500, draw the card basically off the top of your deck, because you can always declare it correctly. If you have multiple copies of Archfiend's Oath, this is not a hard one.
Dang it, I missed the other guy.
So you can draw 3 cards at max, you can play the Archfiend's Oath at most. And there are other ways that you can bounce all the Archfiend's Oaths back to your hand and then replay them, because again, no hard ones per turn, it's all soft. And you just basically keep drawing, and then there's a way to ultimately just kill your opponent with another card that you don't know. The spiral thing, you did try it. It's very bad. Spiral has a card in the archetype that just lets you look at the top of your opponent's deck. So it doesn't really like. And actually, you can rearrange the top of their deck with the top 3 cards, which is even more broken. Just give them the worst card of the 3, and then call it correctly for Super Agent or any of the cards. But a really cool archetype nonetheless. And for the most part, too, you know what deck your opponent is playing. You can kind of play the odds on what you're most likely going to take if you're calling it blind, and you can probably be right more often than you are. I'm not saying you'd always be, you don't have that other card specifically. People did try Convulsion and Spiral just because it seemed like it would fit naturally, and like you said, you're taking a -1 in card advantage to be able to ensure you're always going to hit. That's like a tempting offer, because if Spiral goes off and does the thing it wants to do, Spiral was arguably one of the strongest decks ever printed in Yu-Gi-Oh's history at a time, if you can believe that. And that was its core mechanic. So obviously Super Agent is like the reason why it's broken. I didn't show you the most broken, but still a cool archetype nonetheless. But Convulsion, you can do without the Convulsion. You can leave them in the bulk box. It's totally fine. Okay. All right. This is a very Hearthstone-inspired card. Can't wait to see your reactions.
Transmission here. During damage calculation, if your monster battles an opponent monster, play rock, paper, scissors from your opponent, make the losing player vanish the battling monster they control. If your monster battles an opponent's monster, play rock, paper, scissors from your opponent, make the losing player vanish the battling monster. What is this face down? If both monsters are up, like, what does that mean? Does that matter?
So instead of it just getting banished or exiled, it gets banished face down. Banishing it face down is different than if it's banished face up.
Sure, yeah.
If it's banished face down, there's basically no way you can there's very few cards that can interact with it. There's a slight few, but for the most part, if it's banished face down, it is permanently gone.
The real question is it a best 2 out of 3 years? It's just like you're one and done.
Nope.
One and done. I mean, you're not fucking playing this card. Let's be real.
You sure?
Like a part. Okay, so I think I've shown you the card before. Maybe I showed it to you. There is a almost direct comparison to this.
I think that's why I wanted to show this.
Okay, yeah. Which for people who don't know, it's called Pro Gamer. 2 minutes, 3 battle cry, play rock paper scissors against your opponent. If you win, draw 2 cards. And if they win, they draw 2. That card's unplayable, unfortunately, because if you tie, nothing happens, and you're -1 a card. You're not playing a 2-minute 2/3 in Hearthstone. If you lose, you're giving your opponent 2 cards. So 2 out of the 3 options are just bad. And I think this is the same case, because if you tie, I'm guessing nothing happens.
That is a great question. Let's see the ruling section here, and see if it says what happens. If it's a draw, what happens? When resolving transmission gear, playing rock paper scissors with your opponent, the effect cannot finish resolving if the game result is a draw. Even if the replayed game also results in a draw, another game is played until a winner and loser are decided. Okay, so in our case, you keep going. Yeah, in our case, you keep going. That's interesting.
I mean, regardless, not playing. Regardless, not playing. But it is funny in Hearthstone because Hearthstone has to do it like you put on your turn, and then it waits to go to my opponent's turn, and then they. So even if you lose it, even if you pick, you still have to wait your turn to see if you draw the cards or not. It's not a late draw. But like it's just not playable. Let's be real here, dude. Like throwing cards, you go full of bugs, but it's not like so.
Final answer.
Final answer.
So this might actually shock you. Transmission gear has a very interesting utility that might shock you. Because transmission gear doesn't target and doesn't destroy, and because it vanishes face down, also because it says make the losing player vanish the battling monster they control face down. This type of effect means that if cards say unaffected by your opponent's card effects, because it says make the losing player vanish the battling monster they control face down, your opponent is not doing that action. Or rather, you are not doing that action, your opponent is. And so, these types of, like, unaffected by all these different things, this can actually play around that, and this card sucks.
I have a brick for you. I need to somehow go God mode against these guys. And on Sean. Because there's no way I'm... I can't accept 2 deaths, man. I know, it'll still be a new record, I suppose.
Affected by all these different things, this can actually play around that, and this card sucks. Yeah, you're right. Okay. It does work. It does what it says. There are a few cards that specifically say make the opponent do something. They play around these types of like really defensive protection effects. So in a hypothetical world, if the stars align, you could actually use this to out some really annoying things. There's better options than this, obviously. But, like, funny enough, there is, like, this weird corner case where this could be not the worst thing ever. But, yeah. Yes, I remember playing this. You were definitely...
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like you just never want to play the 50-50 in a card game. You always want the edge.
Exactly. Alright, two things.
So funny. Alright, exchange. Both players reveal their hands and have one card from each other hand. And I'm guessing it's not like I go first, then you go, and then you can take the same card that I grab. It's like all at the same time.
Correct. Yes.
I think you know what I mean, right? Like, so I take.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah. So basically, you would like both look at each. Let's pull up the rulings for this one, shall we?
I gotta clarify this because.
I think that's a fair point. I think that's a fair
card is useless if that's what you're doing. But even then, like, why are you playing this?
They actually
Interesting.
I think it's you basically both look at each other's hands and then you both like select like okay, so here's how it should work. So you both reveal your hands and then essentially if you know the card that you want to take, you would wait until your opponent also decides what they want to take, and then at the same time you both just like declare or take the card, so that way one person doesn't get like an edge in information, if that makes sense.
That does make it. Yeah, it makes sense. I'm just thinking, like, if it works like one player goes first, then you just take the card that they took from you, then your opponent.
Right, exactly. Then what? Right at that point, that yeah.
If it's both at the same time, I'm just trying to think. Like, I think this card's bad. I'm just trying to think of like why you use it, and the only way I think one of these is A, take your opponent's draw. B, your hand sucks, but you're running this card in your deck, so I don't know what you expected. C, I guess they're going for some kind of combo, and this helps you break the combo quicker, like if you're using Exodia, like I guess they, which is I think what they're showing here. I saw I really got. Hearthstone when I play this, if I swap a card with my opponent, there's been effects like this in Hearthstone before. So there, okay. There's a card called Theatar, which was a legendary. It came out as a 4-mana 3/3. But Battle Cry, choose a card from your opponent's hand. You have to pick, like, you have to discover, so you got 3 options. And then you give them a card. That card was used because, A, it was actually not bad tempo to just swap a card, but B, against the combo deck, you kind of just win the game against the card they're holding on to for their combo. This is different, though. In a game like Yu-Gi-Oh, it's faster paced, so I don't know if it's really the same thing. Like, I have to play this card early on in Yu-Gi-Oh for I think the later the game goes, the worse it gets. I feel like this is so bad. There's no cards in this game, like, because I have to ask all these questions. There's no cards in this game like, if this swaps hands, it doesn't do this effect.
I'm going to say no. I don't think there's any card like that to my knowledge. That would be impressive if there were.
They're designing this card for what? I'm just trying to think of like, if there's a reason you ever want to play this. I guess again, you get hand knowledge, but it's symmetrical, so I cancel that out. The only thing that comes to my mind is you're picking a card specifically for, like, to stop a combo. But I think in Yu-Gi-Oh! You would want to win the game rather than denying it. It's like, your opponent often will run redundancy unless... Like, I can't think of any combo where you can run multiple places to get a combo separately. Because I think Exodia, you don't want to, like, have that much redundancy draw as much as you can. It's bad. I'm pretty confident. Yeah, I'll go. I don't know why. Let me guess.
Final answer.
Yes, final answer.
Very. Still have not learned one of the cardinal sins of Yu-Gi-Oh, which is, of course, hand knowledge. And this card, while it is not on the ban list or anything, it is very good. This card is exceptionally good. It doesn't see play all the time, but there have been several stints throughout modern Yu-Gi-Oh! This is a very old card for context. This card, I think, was a promo in one of the old video games from like 2000. Obviously got a bunch of stuff, but this card is actually really, really good. The reason for that is because one thing you may not have thought of is that you can play a bunch of your cards on the field to only have like maybe one card in your hand and exchange to give your opponent like the worst card in your hand, so then you don't really care because you're basically forcing them to take whatever card you want to give them. And not to mention, you not only need to look at your whole hand, if it takes the best card out of their hand, which potentially could disrupt you on the crackback, and with the hand knowledge, you now know every hand trap that you have to contest with that they might have to stop your plays. Think about like Ash Blossom, Nibiru, anything like that. So you can now make your plays accordingly to play around the different things that they have and take the best card out of their hand. Or if they only have one hand trap, let's say, to stop you, you just take the hand trap and now you can full combo and do whatever the hell you want, right? So Exchange has actually seen more play than you think. It isn't played all the time, but it is like an exceptionally good card and like a very well-aged card. Funny enough, this card didn't really see a lot of play in old Yu-Gi-Oh! It's actually a card that modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Picked up because they realized the potential that this card has. Yeah, it's really cool. Like I said, it doesn't see play all the time, but it has seen like several instances where it's been very playable, which I think is kind of neat. I think it's cool.
I just the dumping your hand and swapping is actually really interesting. That's a cool idea. I didn't really think about that. I'm shocked that he's playing. I don't know. I feel like symmetrically, like playing, like both players seeing their hand is not as valuable.
He just mentioned
again,
there's a way to play
as the
around
person
that
playing,
downside.
you can control what the opponent sees. So, like, if you're playing, let's say you have, like, trap cards in your deck, you can set the 3 trap cards face down, or if they're spells, you can set all 3 spell cards face down, then exchange. Your opponent doesn't know what the 3 cards face down are, and then you give them whatever the last card is in your hand, so they don't know what those 3 cards are, and then you start flipping them up and doing whatever it is that you want to do. So there's, like, ways that you can work around the fact that you can hide the information before firing exchange, so that way it turns the card into being one-sided. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's for sure. Yeah, it's very smart. It's very smart.
Right. And think about it, with the picture, you can steal their pot of greed if it was still legal. That'd be great. I love cards that have, like, Yu-Gi-Oh cards on them. I always think this is, like, fun.
Yeah, it's funny. It's very fun.
Yeah. Alright, only a few left. We're getting close to the end here. Let's see what you think about this one.
Kind of embarrassing how I keep dying at the endurance test.
Damage to your opponent by a direct attack. Discard your entire hand. Execute the top card of your deck, and if it's a monster card, send it to the graveyard. And if you do that, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. Repeat this effect up to 7 more times, or until you excavate a non-monster card. If a non-monster card is excavated, place it on the top of your deck. You can only activate this once. Alright, hold on, I gotta read it. When a monster you control inflicts 1,500 or less damage to your opponent by a direct attack, discard your entire hand. Discard the top card of your deck if it's a monster card and send it to the graveyard. Every time you send a monster card to the graveyard, it does 500 damage, and you do that 7 times. 7? Or 8 times total.
Yes. 8 times total with the max if you go through this.
Okay. That is 4,000 damage. That's
right. 4K. Half their life. Half their life. Not to mention the 1,500 or less damage you already did prior with that attack.
Right.
So a max of 5,500 if everything goes as it.
Now, is this a soft once per turn or a hard once per turn?
So this is a hard once per turn. You can only activate 1 Berserker Soul per turn. So that you can only use this once.
So what is that that you can only activate this once per turn? Is that?
That's a hard once per turn. When it says once per turn and it doesn't name a specific card, that is a soft once per turn.
Okay. Oh, okay. I just thought to ask.
Sure. Okay, so you will anyway, but it's fine.
Yeah, I will forget this. Okay, so 1,000 damage is very good on this. You would have to get, I think, somewhat lucky depending on what your deck is. 8 in a row is probably substantial. That seems very, very unlikely depending on how you build your deck. And even if you build your deck pretty well for this, I feel like you're not. Maybe you could make this your win con though. This is the play, you know that you're tight. You have to deal damage. There has to be a monster. Now, here's the question. If it has to be by direct attack. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say, like, if a monster does damage, but it dies.
Oh, I see.
I thought it was gonna be that would be discarding your entire hand is rough. But again, I just kind of learned from exchange that you can like dump your hand, try to go for this, and then if it ends up working out, like and you have a bunch of cards in your graveyard, and you know what your next card is. That kind of interesting.
I imagine this would make some Hearthstone highlight mode. Sure.
This would be a Hearthstone highlight card. If you could get this and you know the majority of your deck, because in Hearthstone I feel like majority of decks like
shit
how strong like battle cards are. So
I would say that's also true for Yu-Gi-Oh! That monsters are like dominant card type.
How likely would you say it is 4,000 damage?
Oh, that would just depend on like how you build the deck around this card. I don't think I can conceivably answer that.
Okay, that's fair.
I will say this: you are not just going to throw this in a random deck. Like this is a build around type of card. Yes.
I'm just trying to think. This card has the potential to do nothing. That's the problem.
That's true.
Yeah. So if you build your whole deck from this, and your opponent always has a way to stop you from direct hitting them, like that is just unlucky, and you're just probably gonna lose. So is there a monster that allows you to do a direct attack without breaking up the battle phase or your opponent blocking?
I will say there are cards that have the effect text. This card can attack your opponent's life points directly, and they have under 50.
That's extremely interesting. I wonder if that's good enough. Because you can do like a lot of damage over 2 turns. So if you're going second, have this card attack, the majority of your cards in your deck are that is a 2 turn lead to survive. then your opponent has a way to like not answer your minions, I guess. God, I feel like I'm leading this to this card though, to be honest. I don't know. Like, I just don't imagine a world where this is going to be good enough. Because if you don't do 4,000 damage, let's just say you do like that means you have to do it 3 times, and that extra turn can be the difference if you winning your one turn is the difference. No, for sure. But it's the case with every card. Sure. I don't know. This is actually such an interesting design. It could be so good, especially if there's a way to attack your play points correctly. Hearthstone.
I'll take 2 deaths.
So you have 1 target. Some of them are pretty cheap. Play this and then hopefully just kill them in 2 turns. That'd be ridiculous.
Remember, everything has charge in you. No, we don't have something.
But in Hearthstone, you can go like Hearthstone. This would be a 2-turn lethal if you build it well though. Just get it in your mulligan.
I mean, in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a 2-turn lethal if you build well enough too.
Yeah, but in Hearthstone, you can attack going first, turn 1, right?
I'll try Karaoke at least once.
That's fair. You'd have to go second specifically, but you can. Well, yeah, you can't pick to. Well, to be fair, you can pick to go second. So like when you win the coin toss or the die roll or whatever, you can pick to go second. It doesn't determine it for you.
Sure. I'm just thinking like you'd have to hope your opponent doesn't set up enough of a board to stop this or your minions, right?
Sure.
Which seems a little like I guess that's the one benefit of like probably Hearthstone and why it would probably never.
Right. I get what you're saying.
So, I think this is an interesting. I just don't think it's good enough. I think they're kind of really good.
I do need spawn
But
points.
I can also just I can see you saying this card is just very good. I'm gonna go with non. I think it's too inconsistent.
I don't think so.
Yes. Yeah, I know you're gonna say this card. I'm gonna go with like.
You are correct. This card is insane. Really bad. So this card was inspired by the anime, as a matter of fact. There is a entire, you haven't gotten to that point in the series, but I think it's in the 4th season, which technically isn't canon, but whatever. There's a whole instance where Yuki
was filler
uses
while
this card
Kazuki Takahashi
and,
was
just, like, overkills,
writing up the new
opponent
chapter
with it. And
still.
it's a very iconic scene, because for other reasons, I don't want to spoil it, because you might watch it. But, so that happened first, and then they printed this card way later after the anime finished. And this is, like basically word for word what the card does. But unfortunately, it's, like you said, it's just way too inconsistent to actually guarantee you're going to hit 7 monsters in a row. And even then, okay, let's say the dream happens and you do 1,500 plus 4,000 is 5,500. Do you know how many 2, if not 1 card combos in Yu-Gi-Oh! Can do well over 8,000 damage and more? Like, why would you do this when you can do everything else Yu-Gi-Oh! Has to offer? So, this one's more for the anime fans. I thought it was a fun one, because it's someone who doesn't really know, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Too much. I thought, like, this is more interesting from a Hearthstone design than anything. So I thought that's why I wanted to do it.
I feel like in Hearthstone, if you actually have this, depending on the mana cost, you have to.
I think so. Like, I think it's, like, way better for you. Like, it's a neat design. But it's just unfortunate that it's, like, too inconsistent. But it's a cool card, and people love it from me. Okay. Speaking of which.
Slash draw. What is that? Sword?
It's ready to just, like, grab his sword. Yeah.
Discard 1 card. Send cards from the top of your deck.
Nice Fedora.
The number of cards your opponent controls. That includes spells and everything. Like spell traps.
Correct. So only on the feet. Right. So yeah. So spells, traps, monsters, but their hand doesn't count.
And then draw 1 card and show it. Then if it was a slash draw, send it to the graveyard, and if you destroy as many cards from the field as possible, it's like 2,000 damage to your opponent for each card destroyed and sent to the graveyard by this effect. Your opponent, if the card you drew was not a slash draw, a couple cards from your graveyard into your deck. The number of cards sent from your deck to the graveyard by this effect. Oh, it's so interesting. Hold on. What? It says the potential is to win the game, right? Like on the spot?
Tell us. Right. So let's just say for all intents and purposes, let's just say I have 1 card on my field, and so you would just mill 1 card.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get so destroying cards regardless of how many cards are on the field is good. The issue is that you have to set yourself up so that this is your next draw. Like if you can guarantee that, this probably is playable. That's the biggest thing, because I think even if I destroy, like, there is a chance you have 4 cards in your field. I play this. I destroy all 4 cards in your deck. As far as if I'm understanding this correctly. But there's also the case where you don't kill your opponent, then you just also destroy 2 cards for 1. I think that's completely fine. I guess 2, but whatever.
Well, if I have 4 cards, you mill 4 and then draw a card to see the slash draw.
Right, but then if you do destroy as many cards in the field as possible, then inflict 2,000 damage to each card destroyed. That's a great card. Right, so there is the chance you just kill yourself on the turn. Does that mean you can set it up so you summon minions for your opponent, and then you can queue this up at the top of your deck, you know it's on the top of your deck, and then you do the slash draw?
Well, it does say destroy as many cards on the field as possible. It doesn't say you have to destroy your opponent's cards for the damage.
Wait, isn't this fucking cracked? What is this? Isn't this disgusting? In Hearthstone, I can already see a world, depending on how much this costs, where I just summon tokens, I put them to the top beforehand, I draw it, I kill all the tokens, my opponent dies.
Tokens won't work because they have to go to grave. So, you can't use tokens.
Ah, right.
But remember,
This section
it's
first.
I'm sure there's ways. So, like, the sheep things, I forget what they're called, they're tokens, right?
Those are tokens. I mean, tokens don't go to the graveyard by they have to go back.
This is insane. Oh, like, what the fuck? The whole condition of a card like this is, like, you need to put this on the top of your deck, you know it's going to be the top.
Well, you don't want it to be the top card, because you do have to mill first, and then draw. But I think everyone understands what you're saying. I'm just clarifying for you, so you understand how the card works.
Okay, so you'd have to... Okay, I got
But the question is, can you stack it so that you know when you're going to draw it? That's the question.
That's incredible. This is a true anime card right here. Consistently get this. Oh, shit, this is so exciting. I can make a YouTube video off this card. That's how I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
That's how exciting this is. And Hearthstone is okay, great. I don't even think in terms of being good. I just think it's like, if you pull this off, it's so funny. I feel like you're winning the game if you get this going off. Like, this is just that good. I don't know if I can agree with that. I'm gonna say I want to say final answer. I'm gonna pray.
Believe me, if I told you this was one of the best things you could be doing when this card was breaking. Really? No? I'm fucking break my I'm asking.
Yes, I would. It's fantastic.
Well, that's actually correct, because slash draw FTK was a real move. So, I'll give you sort of the simplified primer. There is a way to give your opponent monsters on their field that's not very difficult.
Why?
And through another bad card play. So basically, as long as you can get a monster on their field, and all you had to do was get enough cards on your field to make sure that enough would go to the graveyard to inflict the full amount of damage to kill them with the slash draw. There's another card that I do not want to show you.
I'm dying so much before I can even get the karaoke.
The short of it is, that card allows you to stack your deck in such a way, so that way you're able to know, essentially, I believe it puts the cards on the bottom of the deck. So, draw cards, and then you put cards back, but they go on the bottom. The whole purpose of this deck was to draw your whole deck, basically go into the guy that allows you to stack your deck in quotes, because you got to put 3 cards on the bottom of the deck. So you could modify where the slash draw is in those 3 cards. Then you just have to draw your whole deck, and then you know where the slash draw is. And so then you just have to slash draw, assume you got it right because you stacked the deck correctly, and then you just kill your opponent. And this was a real deck, so much so that slash draw is limited to a singular copy, so you cannot slash draw every day anymore.
That's disgusting. But
it was disgusting. Very funny. It was disgusting. Very, very. And just like you said with YouTube combo videos, that was you could look up slash draw FTK and there will be plenty of instances. This was like, this deck won a YCS, I'm fairly certain. And then I'm pretty sure that's what they limited how long.
Oh, I'm sure. That makes a lot of sense. Cool.
Crazy. Very cool card. Very cool. Initially, people didn't think it was doable, but then the better minds in the game figured it out. So that's what.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you can figure it out consistently, it's GG, right?
Yep.
That's the same. Okay, cool.
It was crazy. There's a lot of other banned cards in that deck too, but that's for another video. All right, only a few left. I can't wait to see your reaction. That's fun.
Oh God. Okay. So this looks like an anime card again. Sorry if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly. Joe Friendship?
You're right. Joe.
Offer your opponent a handshake. If they accept your handshake, each player's life points become half the combined life points of the player.
只有让我们最终获得自由的力量。
And show your opponent the rest of something. It's usually just a card that says
它
your
代表
opponent
着
must
新生
accept a handshake.
和一个
No,
黑暗灵魂
basically,
的
I'll
记
show
忆。
you Unity. It's a card that is completely separate from that, but you need it if you want to guarantee that they
它被认为是有
Select
福字
one
的
monster on your side of the field. Defense of selected monster begins to use the combined original defense of all the sub-monsters on your side of the field. So, I'm gonna live in worlds where you have Unity and Electric. That's the rule. Offer your opponent a handshake, they accept your handshake. Each opponent's life points becomes half the combined life points. We're both full, it's the exact same. If we go to... Okay, so... You basically want to put yourself in a circumstance where you're getting a ton of life points. Your opponent is a ton of life points. Why would you want to do that? It's 2 cards.
但就像黑
It can
暗
be
的
one
记
card,
忆
they can accept the
我们
handshake.
必须先接受，否
Yeah,
则过去
so
的阴
I'm
影
gonna be honest
会
with you.
丢失我们。
Which means that, like, I think you need 2 cards for this. Is 2 cards worth it to do? I guess you can look at it as, like, deal, like, a ton of damage to your opponent. If you set yourself down to, like, 1,000, and they're at 800, and they're at 8,000, this is a substantial amount of damage. You probably got upside from doing it because you played cards that want to lower your life total. That's an interesting thought process. In Hearthstone, if I ever want to do this. I'm Warlock. Go to 5. Play the 2. I have this card, I have another card in my hand. It's interesting. You'd really have to have a reason to go that low and then swap that, or I guess equal out the life. Sure. Then you have reverse, which is like you're on a high life point, your opponent's at low, and then you do this. Don't really see the reason for that. There's a card in this game that says like if you gained X amount of life points, maybe that's something, but I don't think that matters in this case. I don't know why you would want it. It have to be your low, even that. Then you shake your opponent's hand, which is so funny. And then you gain a bunch of life to get things. I'm gonna think of it as like you're doing a lot of damage to your opponent. Like that's the only way I think that's gonna work.
Sure, I think that's fair. Yeah.
In a specific burn deck, sure. Like if you get, unless I obviously don't know this, but I'm gonna guess that there's a Yu-Gi-Oh card scheme that says like each this amount of damage, you deal this amount of damage to your opponent, and then you do that. But then you have to, you don't want to do damage to your opponent, so you want to go lower first, then do this, and then do the opposite. Like, I'm gonna go with no, but if there is a card that really works with this might be good enough to see well. It really contingent, like, the contingency of this card is just, is there a combo that you can set up? Because as much as I do think, like, you need, like, I think upwards of 3,000 damage, if not a little bit more, depending on what your life is, your load is. I don't know if that's really good enough for 2 cards, but it might be. You showed me, like, a burn deck before that probably might play this, which is where my mind's at. I'm gonna go with not playable.
I don't answer. Yeah, you're right.
It's so bad. I was like, please.
The funniest part about this, and part of this I want to show you, is because when COVID was happening, everyone was joking that they're going to use this combo for the and that is awful. That is, like, actually just terrible. So, they thought they were going to actually ban these cards for that reason. They didn't, because, surprise, they're awful. But, yeah, very silly. Anyway. The last card, we saved the best for last, buddy, and oh boy, I know the fans have been waiting for this one.
I've definitely seen one that is, I want to call it like quadratic equation cannon, or something along those lines. This is the same, I don't think this is the same, right? So I'm going to do this equation cannon, spend 1 huge monster and 2 exclamation monsters with the same rank from your extra deck. Its combined level and ranks equal the total number of cards in both your hand and on the field, and then you can apply this again.
只有1/7体积
Turn 2
不
of
在
your
水面。
banished monsters to the extra
我
deck.
们的意识
My level
只是
of
冰
rank
山
equal to the level of rank of one face-up monster you control to manage all cards that you can. Okay, hold on, sorry, I gotta have this. You ban 1 future monster and 2 XYZ monsters with the same rank from your extra deck. So this is a card that you don't have in play.
Correct.
My level and ranks equal to the number of cards in both players' hands and on the field by this effect.
So let me help you out before you keep going. Let's assume that in total, between your hand, my hand, your field, my field, that there are 20 cards, okay? Because there are 20 cards, you need to add up 1 fusion monster and 2 Xyz monsters with the same rank equal 20. Got it?
Got it.
Okay.
Turn to your banished monsters. 1 XYZ and 1. My level and rank, level or rank one piece of money, banish all cards. That's a huge ask. Very specific. Almost too specific. Right? I mean, it's easy, but I'm not shocked. That is, it's, like, I mean, if you can get this to go off, it's fucking insane, no? Like, that's great.
It banishes all cards they control. It's a one-sided banished board wipe, yeah.
If it's minus banish one card, then you probably have redundancy anyways in your extra deck, so it's like, does it matter? That's incredible. Now, how likely are you to get this off is the real question. That sounds like in the right certain... Okay, hold on.
Is he cooking?
Is there cards in your extra deck that say you can change the rank of this card or level?
So there are, but you wouldn't be able to do that while they're not. So it would have to be whatever they say on the face value of your level. That's what you're doing.
I thought I had it.
I know you. Okay, yeah, fair. I think that's a fair question.
I thought you cracked good. Okay, so there has to be, unless like you just have the straight line, there has to be. One-sided vanish for everything is insane. Your opponent can respond to this though, right? On the chain.
They could, yes.
I mean, like
whether they can or not is a different story. But I mean, yes, they could theoretically.
This is very good. I don't know. If it works, it's
I don't have a weapon though. This is gonna
such
suck.
a specific line. You really stack your extra deck with enough combinations, like you could probably get away with it. Okay. So fun. Just like, hold on, guys, I need to do some math here. Give me a second. I mean,
you kind of have to, yeah.
Maybe you just go like, I don't even care about the cards in my extra deck. They're literally just here to manage monsters and like whatever's on the field. And maybe that's your line. Like you don't care about the fact that there's cards in your extra deck. You're just stacking in such a way that this is going to activate every single time. You have enough consistency and like I guess redundancy in a way that allows you to destroy anyone. Because your opponent is to be like, is he really going to do this? Just it's worth like a card, and if they believe it, then like you got a card off of this, which I think is hilarious. And then if they don't, and you actually get away with it, you just destroyed their lives. So in both ways, it's psychological damage, and then you'll be feared for the rest of the tournament. So like I mean, so interesting because like then you'll be like that guy's running equation handle to the bug. I mean, in the logic, if like you stack your deck in a way that gets this to work, that sounds really good. You're minus two cards because you activate this and you use a card from your extra deck. Your extra deck is irrelevant if you're like both
I would not even count using cards from the extra deck as like lost cards because they're in like a separate zone, right? So like in terms of card economy, the only card you're really using is the simultaneous equation. So like you're using one card to banish the whole field.
I will say this card. I will say it because I do think that if you like, I think I'm going into the mindset here of like you're stacking your extra deck to work. You're not using it to win the game at this point.
So we're not in Disneyland yet.
I'm gonna say we're not in Disneyland. I'm pretty sure we're still up. But like let's pretend. Okay. I can see a world where like you put enough redundancy in your extra deck that this works. So okay, sure. It works. It was playable.
Final answer. You ended strong, Ray, because this card is actually very playable, if you could believe it. So
I think I'm just gonna try fighting Kuroki directly.
For people to figure this out because unfortunately
It's not worth it. There's too much going on in the museum.
But it's funny because it's exactly like
and
what you said.
We need
so
a weapon.
During the time where this card saw its time in the spotlight, the deck that would play this card did not care about the extra deck, and as a result could load its extra deck up with a bunch of different cards to fulfill simultaneous equation canon's requirement. And so, basically, there is a spreadsheet out there, or an Excel sheet or something, that shows all the different combinations of the way the math plays out, so like what you have to send on certain like numbers of like, because you have to count everything in play and in the hands, right? So the Excel sheet shows in different scenarios, like what level combinations you would have to send in order to fulfill this card's requirement. And it turns out it's actually not as difficult as it seems because of the way that both players start with a certain number of cards in hand, and going from there, both players are going to be using those cards. There's actually kind of like a defined range of like where most of the time you're going to be able to activate this card to like get the most benefit off of it, to just blow your opponent into the sun. And that makes this a lot easier than it seems, because when you just think about like all the different possibilities, it seems very overwhelming. But if you narrow it down to what like is most likely to show up on a board, especially like if your opponent's going off and you just need to make sure that their turn ends, there's only a finite number, a finite range rather of possibilities that this card's going to work. This was a card that was like a premier removal tool in that deck. Because it's a normal trap card, it's actually searchable as well. So you can play 3 copies of it and then 3 copies of the card that searches it. So it was actually very easy to access at will if the player chose to do so. And yeah, it does take like a rocket scientist degree in order to make sure that this card functions. But if you can like do the math, and it's funny what you said about, oh, I'm gonna go do the math. Players will do that. They will literally like take a moment to like try to make sure that everything works so that this card can resolve properly. And it literally says banish all cards they control. That is like one of the best effects in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's one-sided on top of it. Yes, it can be interacted with, but so can any other card in the game, right? Unless it says it can't. But yeah, this card actually saw like a pretty decent amount of play. It's crazy. No, but it's kind of cool, right? It's kind of neat that a card like this works.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's a good card. All right, sick. I believed. Let's go.
You did believe. I think you did pretty good this time around. You got to see some of the premier craziest Yu-Gi-Oh cards that we have. Most of them are bad, don't get me wrong, but I know you love this. I know you love Slash Draw. I mean, you got to see some bangers. We'll say.
I actually want to go look. Yeah, I would hope it not. It's kind of masterful. I would hope they would do like an animation for it.
I think it is, but again, I think it's limited, so I don't think. So guys, that's gonna wrap it up for another video. I really hope you all enjoyed. Let's go ahead and shout out the patrons for all of their continued support. So shout out to Shout1317, Tim00x3, FBT Play Midolce, Moto, Cameron L. Smith, The Synchro Guy, Tony Stark, Dan the Man Hoven, Little Fadeleaf, Draconic, Dylan Burr Hunter, JW11860, Flannel Daddy, literally all of the guinea pigs, Chicks with Lafferty, Stolen Amethyst, FBT Cancel by
Master Duel sucks. You didn't hear from me. This is climbing styles react or times that you guys supposed to talk about Master Duel. I have grinded all the way through gold this morning after not playing PC. So I don't have a lot of experience really with Master. I haven't played ranked in a while now. But let's see what we're still crying about. We all love a little bit of Dharma.
Finally, my turn to make a video like this, and I'm gonna get right to the point because the last 4 times I recorded
That has to be my last one.
I'm trying to make it as clear and as short as possible because attention
Has Ryan
Yu-Gi-Oh! Man,
heard of an editor?
It's not anymore. Like, look at this data. This game has been on decline since it came out.
Look at this!
Point out that this is not the entire player base. For all you know, it's thriving on PlayStation and Xbox. I just don't have the data.
It's thriving on PlayStation, trust me. So, Master has hit. So last time I saw this, it was at 12,000 average players less. August it was about 13.8. September it dipped to 12.3. It looks like it's climbed back up a little bit. When was the Mitsurugi? Was it September or was it this month? Mitsurugi release was this month, wasn't it? So an entire new pack has been dropped, and usually in new packs you see like these spikes here, right? Like look at this, February 2025 this year, 55% player base spike, which was, what deck was that? I think that was Rigel? From Alice? Rigel, right? You usually see like huge spikes and stuff, but over the last 30 days, this is the smallest spike we've seen in forever. 8% spike for a new pack. That's basically nothing. In fact, for BES, yeah, true.
I can see the numbers here and see a constant decline.
But obviously it doesn't give the full picture because, as you guys are aware, that Master Duel has most of its active player base on mobile, which you can see active on the Play Store, whatever platform it's measured via the Japanese client, for example, Asian markets, etc. That's all very hidden and don't actually have numbers behind it, so we can only really look at Steam charts as the most clearest, obvious, basic way to see player activity, at least for people who use Steam, which, you know, is not the full picture of Master player base. But anyway, overall usage spend is downwards.
And allow us to spark some conversation. So, at any point, if you want to add on to this, feel free to let me know down below, whether it be why you left, why you chose not to play.
Yeah, what does Japan use on desktop
anyway,
to play Master?
It's like,
I don't think it is.
Better. I think it's a good thing. Even though I think it's following depths here, and no matter what we say, nothing's going to change. But hey, at least we tried. Alright.
Let's start. Master Duel honestly is one of the coolest ideas.
That's one of the most frustrating things, by the way. Is like it doesn't feel like they listen. Like of all of the feedback people have given for Master Duel, I can't really think of specifically something that. Because obviously we live in like a bubble as content creators and our little audiences and communities. You guys hear what influencers say, etc. So who knows what the average person who doesn't consume, you know, content actually believes and thinks about Master Duel, but it just feels like nothing has been implemented with Master Duel that people really wanted, other than rating. That is like
I just remembered I haven't pacifisted her yet, so I may as well.
That they did was add rating. People definitely did ask for that, and they made it happen. But that's about it.
We, for the past 27 years, never really had a real way to play the game. I mean, there's a bunch of simulators online, but having an official one that's accessible on every single device, crossplay, I think is sick. The problem is the game never left early access. That's the thing. This game is hard to get early access by $1 billion company.
We say this like every other video, right? It genuinely feels like Master Duel is in like a beta mode, and it's just, you know, got like the basic bare bones features that constitute a video game, and we're just waiting for like the full release. Like the game literally came out in early access. The highest rank was platinum on release. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it really does seem like this game is just stuck somewhere.
40Ks in the game once a week for some reason. I just don't understand. Like, it's like compared to the starters. Look at cosmetics. Like, I feel like cosmetics really will keep the lights on for a lot of these games. Like, look at Fortnite. But like, with Master Duel, it drops cosmetics once every like 9 months. Like, oh, here's a new mate. Next month, I can count on one hand.
Did you guys see the buzz there?
Mates that were like actually relevant.
We got the Orcus Pokedex. That was good.
Last White Dragon, which is for the anniversary. They dropped the Engraver. Alistair is cool, but that only applies to really me. And then no Red Eyes, no Dark Magician Girl. You don't even like focus on like the main lore you're focused on. You didn't do anything for Albaz.
I think Dark Magician Girl is like the it's like the Yu-Gi-Oh what's it called? Break in case of emergency.
A primary reason why violence is an answer. These animations are way longer.
Girl, like, break in case of emergency, headquarters. Sorry, I'm focusing really hard on making, like, an accurate Dark Magician Girl hat here. I'm not very good at it, as you know. But whenever, like, the costs of running Master Duel servers hits rock bottom, they'll make a CAD Dark Magician